about to leave the River Swale. Been walking alongside that for a couple of days now. Today is a bit of a rough day because it's 22.5 miles and I've already done a couple of detours, so probably more like 23 miles of walking. Bit of a slog. Not supposed to be the prettiest of days, although this is very pretty where I am right now. But I think once I leave this wooded area, a lot of it's road walking and just getting the miles in. We're kind of in a bit of a vale in between two national parks. So the designers of this trail have basically said, just spend the day just getting as many miles in as you possibly can. But I'm loving this bit right now, it's very pretty. Today I'm going to be praying for schools, Christian schools, to start Pais Youth Academies. That's where we train young people in mission, discipleship and Bible study, rather than just essentially invite them to come and hear things and hear Bible teaching. We actually train them how to do these things. There's a little bit of a climb. And then the second thing I'm praying for is Pais Nigeria, praying for our leaders, Daniel and Fortunate, praying that God will bless them. So we're praying for those two things today, for stronger networks within Nigeria that we can work with. The leaders are doing a great job already. And then, if you're a Christian school teacher and you're interested in how Pais can plant a youth academy in your school to train young leaders, Christian leaders, let us know. But we're going to be praying for that, and that will happen all over the world. Okay, 22 miles, here we go. Okay, I've got to be honest, it's pretty painful right now. So this is the longest day. About 23 miles, I think it is. So half of it is road walking, which I actually like because you can get a lot of traction and move quite quickly, but it's hard on your feet. The problem with the field walking today is that this has been the wettest May on record, it seems, and everywhere is just boggy, which one means it massively slows you down, two, you just can't get any traction and you're constantly slipping and rolling your ankles and your feet. Try to take little detours to avoid just complete bog. So that's been difficult. So I'm halfway through. I think I'm around 12, 13 miles now. So about halfway through. But my legs are kind of really shot. I don't think it's the walking. I think it's the, what would you call it? Dancing around, trying to find a place to put your foot. So yeah, my back's aching now. So I'm hoping there's a place called Danby Whisk that's coming up. I've got a feeling that's the place where there's a little honesty box and someone's put a couple of like a little hut where you can sit in out the rain. It's been raining a lot, although it's dry right now. So I'm going to try and put my jet boil on, have a cup of tea, see if I can just get a little bit of strength back into my legs. So we'll see. It's probably about half an hour away, that. I'm hoping that's where it is, but I don't know for sure. So we'll see. Okay, quick crazy story. So I don't know if you can see this, but this is a place called Richmond. It's a little town in the middle of nowhere. Actually feels a lot busier than it did 30 years ago. So I was walking through the wilderness, as it seemed to me, in the countryside, and then after a few days of that I suddenly walk into this metropolis, it seemed like, but it was a tiny little town in the middle of nowhere. And I remember exactly why I prayed, exactly in this very spot. I prayed, Lord, I pray that we'll have Pais teams even in little towns in the middle of nowhere like this. So then fast forward, I just walked up the road, walked back onto the coast to coast, and fast forward a few years later, a young couple called Ben and Gail came on Pais, and they rose through the ranks of their team members, then team leaders, and then became co-national directors and took on a church. And then one day I went to visit them in what had become the kind of co-national headquarters for Pais. And he said, we'll take you around the back of the church where the little town is and you can look around and see where we live. We walked in And guess where it was? It was right here. And we literally walked into a place where I prayed, Lord, I pray that one day we will have Pais teams even in places like this. I just want to encourage you, our prayers are effective when we're aligned with God's purposes. You know, being righteousness does not mean simply being good. Righteousness means being righted with God, being aligned with God's purposes. So I'm pretty sure that when I prayed that prayer, God probably laughed, thinking, you know what, Paul, not only are you going to have a Pais team here, you're going to have your national headquarters here. And I think that's the beauty of our prayers can be powerful when we're aligned with God's purposes. And I read this whole thing is about, hey, you know what? If you want to be aligned with God's purposes, reach into schools, because that's the way we can be strategic for the kingdom, reaching lots of young people in schools. And we spend so much of our time making plans and hoping God will bless it. We're about seeing what God's doing. God is in schools work. He's all about reaching young people, and that's where they are. They're in school. So put your investment into that. Be aligned with Him. As much as you can align with the purposes of God, you can see your prayers answered. I couldn't believe it. It freaked me out when I came into this little town. I thought, hang on a minute, this is where I prayed that prayer. And I didn't even know Richmond was on the coast. In fact, when I prayed the prayer, I didn't know the name of the town. It just seemed like a little remote town. It freaked me out. So just to encourage you with that anyway. I hope that's an encouragement. Righteousness, being righted with God,